Well, thank you everybody for jumping on this the live coaching call today. If this is your first time, welcome. My name is Julian. I've got John Bell here, and then today's going to be a little bit unique. We've got my friend Kieran O'Neill, who some of you may have heard on the recent podcast episode of the short-term rental success stories. I'll let kind of Kieran introduce himself, but essentially, kind of what they want to do is present and show their one of the applications that we were talking about in the show, which was pretty unique and interesting. They have a PMS and a type of model that it's very unique. I'll let Kieran do a better job explaining it. I don't want to do it a disservice, but what we're going to do here is, Kieran's going to spend some time. He's going to share with us a demo of the product, and then we'll also have some time for a Q&A. Of course, this will be recorded. We'll upload this in the student portal, and if anybody is interested in, using the demo or using the product that Kieran's talking about, we'll also include a link where you guys can go ahead and utilize that. Maybe just to kind of get an idea of where everybody's at as far as units or PMSs. Has anybody here already picked their PMS? Are you using your porter, a different one, Hostfully? I know we in the program we talk about your porter, but anybody further along in the process yet? I will take silence as a no. Okay. Well, yeah, Kieran, if you wouldn't mind just giving yourself a brief introduction, and then I'll let you take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you, Julian, and thanks everyone for having me on the call. So yeah, if you've had a chance to listen to the podcast, I think it just went out 2 days ago. My name is Kieran, and I'm one of the co-founders of HomeTime. So we're Australia's largest short-term rental property manager, and it's been we've kind of achieved that over the last coming up to 6 years now. And as Julian mentioned, we've kind of pivoted along the way, and we've kind of come up and now operating a pretty unique model in the industry, where essentially what we do is we partner with existing on the ground hosts, and then provide a number of different layers of services in order to kind of really grow them and provide obviously then great service to the guests and homeowners. So as HomeTime, we kind of come in and do a lot of the digital marketing, providing growth, all the tools and software, which you'll see today, and then a range of other kind of business services to really help support people through the journey. Because we know, starting out as we did 6 years ago, that it's not sometimes the easiest thing to kind of find your way through. So we figured that, hey, there's obviously a better way of doing that, and that's kind of we can help partner with hosts and really kind of take them through the maze of short-term rental. Now, in terms of the tool, do you want me to just jump right into that, Julian, or if there's anything else before we start? Or all good to
Yeah,
go?
we'll leave out a Q&A open at the end. So maybe just to
Okay.
give a kind of a introduction as far as what the tool is,
Yeah,
what type of person would be utilizing it. Like I said,
perfect.
we probably have some students here that are maybe fairly new in the program, so maybe they haven't gotten to the part where they are utilizing these types of tools yet. So if you just want to give a little background.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so where we've kind of where the tool and the idea came of with releasing this was, we've built a really great internal PMS for our own business. So we use a lot of other tools on the market, and yeah, they're great in what they do. We just needed more, right, as we grew and as a business, and we kind of found we were stitching together a number of different tools as we kind of went along. So we got a team in house, and we've developed our internal tool, and what we're now doing is moving all that, the key functionality, into a tool that anyone on this call can use. And this tool, it's really there. I guess one thing that we kind of have done and are trying to do in the near future with this tool is really make it something that you can kind of completely run your business out of. So and we say that because we got to a point where, like I mentioned, we had a number of different tools trying to solve the whole problem. So where this is great for, it's for someone, whether you're starting out and you've got a few properties, and maybe the biggest time suck at the moment is really around your operations, and what we're trying to do right now is really help people save time particularly, and that, some of the biggest time sucks we see in this whole business is around organizing, cleaning, ensuring quality control around those things, and other aspects of even like the business side of your STR management business, which is finance and all those types of things. So we see you can save time there. You've got more time to either spend with your homeowners, which can lead to referrals, and then even just focused on growth. So that's the kind of idea that we have. So from anyone with 2 properties to anyone with 30 properties, this is obviously a powerful tool. And right now as well, we've taken the ethos of, if we were, ourselves back 6 years ago, it would be great to have like a something we could kind of like really just start off with. So we're actually offering like a really powerful free version. So it's not like a free trial. It's literally, there's some really key features in here around like tasks and, management and messaging that is all going to be free. And then as you grow your business and you require some key other features, sophisticated finance and all those types of things, that's when we will look into a paid version, but there's always going to be a free version available. So, and I guess we're kind of able to do that as well. We've got our management business, which is generating revenue and all those types of things. We're building the tool already for that. And then it's like, look, we're not just, we don't live and die by, what comes through on the software side. Like, obviously great if we can build out another business unit, but, we can actually afford to offer that free version. So I think that's actually really cool for the community. So, and so what does it do? Maybe that's where I can jump in and start to show people. So do you want me to take that away, Julia?
Yeah, sure. And does anybody have any particular questions about like what a PMS is or why you would need this?
Or the word free?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, if let's just say someone perked up and asked that question, PMS, gone are the days where you need to be, monitoring bookings and cleans with a checklist, a whiteboard. This is all around like, how do you make sure that you can efficiently manage properties at scale? And you do that, via software. So, and I guess what we've done is tackle some of the key elements where, you can make this business a lot more efficient. So this is where our tool actually helps to do that.
So when you're going through the program and you reach, I believe it's in step 6 or step 7, I can't remember off the top of my head, but where you are utilizing typically your porter. If you're just starting out, that's one of the tools that we have the demo on, and that we recommend, just because it's very cheap, it's very easy to use, it's got a friendly mobile app. But John and I, with our business, we don't use your porter anymore. I use your porter for my couple listings, just because it's very easy to manage. But at a larger scale, like John's implemented Hostfully, for his reasons and for what he needs in his business. So everybody has a different purpose or different need that they have in their business. And what Kieran's doing, he and like some of the other people that we've talked to before, they might build a PMS that's in-house to be able to fit the needs of their company. Like Hostfully, for example, it's, we look at that more like a skeleton. So, we connect to a bunch of different services and tools within the short-term rental toolbox. You might look at another tool like, what's the one that we were talking about, Kieran? That's the,
talking about the biggest Guesty.
Guesty.
Guesty is another one that they are trying to do like a bunch of different things, and they have a bunch of different add-on services. So while your porter, it doesn't have, let's say, as much channel management integration, and it might be more limited on the different types of integrations that it has. So everybody has a different need in their hosting career or journey. So that's just to paint a better picture. So the one that we're talking about specifically, though, is what Kieran has built out for his company, and now he's offering this as a freemium model to people that are interested in maybe going that route. So we're not telling you to go one way or the other. That's your due diligence, but we're just giving you all the options out there. All right, cool. Yeah. So if you wanted to kind of dive in, Kieran, and kind of show us the tool is.
Great. Can everyone see my screen okay?
No.
1 second. There we go. It should be right.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, so this is I would like to say, our beautiful tool. So just before we even jump into the features, one thing that we pride ourselves on at HomeTime, and this is just even within our management business, is it's all around presentation, right? And that's I think is something that we've always going to take when it comes to the tool, and that's like making it look great to the eye, super easy to use, and super intuitive, which is something that definitely helps the users, particularly when you're first starting out. Like, we try to make things as upfront and easy to use as possible. Another little feature which you may not appreciate right now, but definitely as you get further down the line, is it's even also white labeled out of the box. So this actually you can customize it to look look and feel as it's your own business. So you can add your own logo, and you've just got a small powered by down the bottom, powered by HomeTime. So where do we start with this tool? So again, as I mentioned, the whole purpose of this is to provide a set of tools and features that will allow you to run your business at some sort of scale. Whether that's a few properties and that's where you want to get to and manage, great, that's perfect. We can save you time there. Whether or not you want to scale up and start building a team and you want 20 properties, you want 30 properties, this is also the perfect tool for that as well, because we've done that, and we've scaled a team, whether it's a virtual team or a team on the ground. And the tool that we have here is perfect to really interact with everyone within your team, because we've actually taken quite a view as to, like, we understand people have completely different setups when it comes to running their business, and this tool will allow you to do that. So where do you land? So first and foremost, what we want to try and do here, and excuse, this is just some demo data as well, but what we want to do here is really around, like, what's happening today. Like, how do you kind of look at what are some of the key things you need to focus on? So you come in and you see your booking requests. It's like, okay, what's money on the table that you need to go and convert, so you can quickly jump in and obviously action those as quickly as possible. Hopefully you wake up every morning and you've got booking requests lined up here to take that kind of take those bookings through. It's also a bit of like, what's checking in and what's checking out today, any unread messages, and then in terms of tasks, what's coming up. So one thing that we've running a large business at scale, one of the toughest and most time draining things is tasks. So we've actually put, I think, out there in the market, I would say our task function is super powerful, and also provides you with a lot of control around quality as well, which gives you, which obviously then filters down into guest reviews. So one thing I'll just jump into, and I'll kind of take you through the evolution of how the tool is set up and the thought process behind this, and then kind of go deeper down into some features. So before we even start, we've actually now structured our user settings, I think, in a pretty flexible way. So firstly, you start off, you've got your workspace admin. So this will be yourself. And then maybe as you grow, you might, or if you've got a business partner or whatever that is, you can both be in here. So you own everything, you see everything in the tool, which is great. Super, super straightforward. Users, this is where you can get a lot more creative. So whether this is someone you've got helping on the ground for a portion of your properties, or maybe you've got a cleaner where they do a little bit more than just cleaning, right? They might help out with some guest communications. They might help out with some things on the ground. You can actually get quite creative in terms of what you do here. And the way that we do that is via roles. So you can fully customize roles within your business. So you can come in and you can call this role whatever you like, and you can then provide whatever permissions, whether it read, write, or whatever access is here. So this just gives you some really kind of, I guess, cool functionality where, we come across a lot of people and speak to a lot of people, and everyone's got sometimes a slightly different setup. So this just helps you kind of, fit the roles and the team members best into your tool. So, and that's just also really kind of good to know, particularly like one of the best examples is a lot of people get a VA, when they get to a certain level of scale. Like I would highly recommend that. We would do that. We've done that for years now. VAs are great. And you can actually you can give them certain different levels. You can chunk up your portfolio. So one VA only looks at these properties, one VA only looks at those properties. So it's a really good way of kind of doing that and making sure they're focused on what they need to focus on. Next one's pretty self-explanatory, homeowners, and I'll jump into a bit more of that detail later on. And the next one is, just your suppliers and contractors. So what we do is we actually give access to, say, if you've got a plumber, electrician, or a cleaner, they can have specific access into this tool, which is just helps on the task management side, which I'll actually jump into very shortly. So, if you've got a plumbing job, a notification gets sent out to your plumber when you book that in, and then they can jump in and see all the details in our tool and interact and complete the job. So that's kind of like the lowest level of user. So that's great. That's you've got some users in, and what's next is like now you need to get all of your property details in. So one thing we've also done here is that we understand that when you're running these businesses, information is super key, and you need information very quickly. Like if there's an issue at a property with a guest, you need to be lightning fast when it comes to rectifying that and responding. And let's just say the power's out. How do you jump on that? How's the quickest way you do that? And where this really help is having this centralized source of information. And this is then super important as you scale, because as you know, the more properties you get on, the more information you have. And where we found issues in the past was we had information in one place, information in another place, gets updated here and then gets missed somewhere else. And some people have pens and paper rolling around. This is like the perfect way to then kind of store that info. So let's just say we import all your properties in that you already have, and what it does is suck in a lot of the data here. So a lot of this data is already sucked in from the listings, and then you can go through and then customize some of the additional details through here. So what's some of the information that comes through? So everything around location and parking, and actually what I'll just quickly show you, we've got this little logo here, which means that it's actually part of a digital guest guide. So based off this property profile, we actually create a digital guest guide, which then gets created per reservation. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail, where it then sucks through from this, from that page, property profile. This is customized per reservation. It speaks to the guests like, hey, this is how you get to the property, gives them a pin, talks to them about car parking, gives them some quick information about the neighborhood, getting around, Wi-Fi details, access information, obviously very key, where you can add photos and text or whatever you want to do there. Obviously, house rules, everyone likes to reiterate the house rules, which I 100% agree you need to do. Rooms and sleeping, and then just amenities. So even on the amenities thing, we understand, hey, you might have a really tricky stove, or that hard to use TV. You can drop in a manual if you really need to, right? Or a little fact sheet that you put together that can live in here digitally. So it's easy to update, and you don't have to go and reprint a guest guide every single time you change something in your property. You can just change it here and it'll update automatically. So I'll just quickly run through the information on here, and I'll probably pull out some of the key things that, around this property profile, which I think is very key. So obviously you got your access information, which you just touched on. So you can have access information for a guest, and then you can actually tweak it for different types of users. So whether it's your tradespeople, maybe there's a different way you have them get in. They use a different lockbox, or they go through a back entrance or something like that. You can tweak those instructions, and that filters through into our task later on. So just giving you a lot of, and I guess a lot of these things came up from our experience in the industry, where we've had all these things happen in the past, and you're just trying to get on top of all the different situations. This is I laugh. This is actually something which you might look at this and think, oh, who cares about the utilities? But I know how many times we've had problems where we're managing a property for somebody else, a homeowner, and the electricity is in their name or the internet's in their name, and it drops. And, the guest can't watch their favorite Netflix show. You can maintain all these details here. You can have a recent bill. So you can call up that provider and you can sort that out ASAP, and you don't have to try and chase the owner who's at work or whatever that is. You just have all those details there. So just these little things from, managing all these properties, we've kind of found out over the years. And then all these details around safety and other emergency contact information can all be stored centrally here. Next thing, just on this property profile. So, if some people have multiple listings per property, we allow you to obviously drop those in so that, when you're looking at this in our tool, it's as one. So you don't see like 3 listings or 2 listings for the same property, if that's what you've done in the past, because we know it can happen. You might need to restart a listing, and so on. You've got all your booking settings, which is obviously super key around your nights and all the requirements around ID and things like that, and pricing, which you can all update and amend from here. Now, this one, again, something which may not seem big right now, but I just know how important this is. Every property has like sometimes a different story. If you've got, a particular homeowner is like, on a weekend, don't call me, only call my brother. He lives around the corner. Or, if there's a problem, call the building caretaker. You can actually add all these contact details in, grab, exactly who they are, add some specific notes around that for your team, particularly. So if you've got a VA or someone helping out, they know they can come into here and see who they may need to call if there's a certain situation. And then the last, or one of the last things here, very important, even if you're on like you've got your own properties or master lease or managing other people's homes, there's some kind of key information that you should always have at hand if required. So insurance, 100% key, keeping all those details at hand, expiry dates, particularly if it's somebody else's house that you're managing, any contracts that you have, whether that's your master lease or your contract with the homeowner, having those all at hand and stored centrally, very important. And then you can just drop in any other file related to this property. It's just a bit of just keep everything in the one space. Next thing is around team management. So this is where before, when we looked at users, you can then apply different users to particular properties. So let's just say you had that example. Maybe you've got properties in different locations. One person you just want to assign to all of your, properties in Tampa. You can just apply all the people that are in that team to that particular property. So that's all they see. So that's on properties. I'm happy to move on, but if there's any questions, feel free to shout. And otherwise, I would just keep motoring through.
Hey, Kieran, I do have one quick question. You were talking about the links to the files. I might have missed at the beginning. So are the documents saved on a cloud service, or is it just linking to the files on whatever server or hard drive we may be keeping them in our own?
No, it is saved on our application. So
okay.
It's saved in our which is AWS, and obviously got all the protections around that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so you've got your properties in now. And one thing I might, I'll touch on first, just because I think it's super valuable for a lot of people on this call, and something that I think that some other tools necessarily don't solve in like some PMSs solve it in a way, but I don't think they take it to the same extent that we do. And there's a lot of actual task management tools out there that try and just solve the cleaning management side, where I feel like we do pretty much all of that and potentially even more, plus all the other PMS features. So what are tasks? So we looked at tasks where the majority of tasks you're going to have in your business, cleaning and some maintenance, like by far the vast majority. However, you've also got some reoccurring tasks that come up every now and then, whether it's like scheduling particular deep clean, you've got gardeners, you've got pool cleaners, and then you've also got tasks just within your own business. So whether that's I've got to reconcile my bank account, I've got to do all the end of month statements for my homeowners, or just my own financial end of month, you can actually do all of that in here and just track it for yourself. So it's almost like a bit of a to-do list as well. So you don't have to just do cleaning, but you can also do any other task that you related to business. But what I'll show you today is how we focus on that kind of cleaning and maintenance side, because that will save you the majority of the time. So we've got a concept of templates. And that's this concept of templates, we kind of roll through the tool where a template can be applied to one or many properties, or no properties actually in this case, where you can just have it for your workspace. But it just helps you then, save time by, if you've got a set kind of say way you clean, you can just apply that to all automated across the board, and it's ready to roll. So let's just go and create a dummy template from scratch. So let's just say you've imported your properties and you want to set up for this particular property a clean that is automated every time there's a reservation. So maybe you've got a cleaner that always cleans this property. You can have that always assigned to them, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's one of those things where you've got a couple of cleaners and you'll know some into the future, like closer to the date, who's going to do what. So you can leave that blank. But let's just say we're going to roll with I'm always cleaning this property because I love this place. Now, how do you automate this? So in terms of automation, we've kept it, we've tried to be as customizable as possible. So this one, for instance, like you could do by accepted reservation, whether it be on check-in or check-out. Every time for this property, you have an accepted reservation, it'll create a job on a checkout date, on the checkout date. You can also do it based on time periods, or customize, to however what you want. So an example I used before was maybe have a gardener come every 2 weeks. They can come and you can set that so it's just always in your calendar. You're also then always tracking the tasks that are happening, and so on. And maybe you've got like in Australia, we have like a yearly smoke alarm check. You can book those in for all of those properties here as well. So you can get pretty creative in terms of how you want to do that. So if we just quickly use the checkout example. So you book in this task to automate all of your checkout cleans. If you've already got reservations in the calendar, it will actually just create it for all of the ones that are already there into the future. And you've got a few categories that you can select here. You can enter in obviously some details around what it's called, and you can call this like for that particular property. So that template's name for that. You can add in some detailed instructions, or if you've already got a cleaning manual that you kind of have for your cleaners, you can drop it in here as well as a file. Now, where this gets, I think, pretty cool, as lame as that sounds, you can actually then start creating some pretty customizable and powerful checklists. So what can you do here? So we've got it so that you can obviously, I'm just going to have some very high level things in here, but you can get super, flexible in terms of what you want to do with these checklists. So the way that we use this is, you have some key things that, the cleaner obviously needs to do. And then also you can, text input can be like, look, please report any damage. So they can provide some details of damage, photos of all the property, which I would say from our experience running this business, getting photos after every clean, whether it's, a handful or it's 20 photos, I would highly recommend. So for a couple of reasons. One, you've got, if you're not able to physically go to the property every single time after it's been cleaned, at least you've got evidence. That evidence is super key as well through, any sort of issues with damage and as in resolution claims. Having, the evidence to say that this property was, in perfect condition before this like new guest checked in, and I've got all the photos and they're all time stamped, is perfect. So then if a guest does do damage, you've got that evidence to then go through a process to claim any funds back or insurance or whatever that is. So you can create that checklist, and this can be as long as you like. And in terms of how a cleaner or whoever interacts with this, they don't need to download an application. We kind of did that just so that there's no, I guess, they don't need to keep updating or, downloading may like get out of date and, things may not work. So it's all web-based and it's all, optimized for mobile, so they can see all of this and they can tick all the boxes, upload all the photos, and interact with that quite easily. You can then obviously set times to be within your check-in windows. And then one big thing, which may, I think is, very key in running any business, is you've got to know your numbers. Now, what does this mean? So you can set it so that, let's just say you've got a base price for a clean where if you're managing it for somebody else, you might charge that homeowner $200 every time there's a clean. And then you may pay the contractor $150 for every single clean. Yes, I know this number can sometimes be variable depending on the time, but what happens is it'll have these amounts, I guess, attached to every single task that's created. And let's just say you do get that scenario where the cleaner has to spend an extra time. You can just come into that individual job and just update this number to whatever that needs to be. So then you just go and save that template, and then it'll just, as I said, automate based on what you've selected here. Now, I'm not going to save that. Actually, just before I do, is there any questions on this section? And no problems if not. That's okay. So I'll stay on task because there's a few other key things that we've done in here. So you then got all the templates that you've created for any of your properties, and apologies, there's quite a few here. Just I've stopped saving the demo ones that I do now, but you've got all the templates in here for whatever properties you've got. You can also duplicate a template from if you get a new property on and you want to use the same one, you can just duplicate it into the new property. Super easy to do. Now, one thing on here, we kind of, where we see this like being very powerful is like, you can easily then filter on things where it's like, if you want to understand, let's just say, I don't know how often you like maybe pay cleaners or whatever that is, but let's just say you pay them every week or something. If you wanted to look at all of the cleans that were completed in a certain time period, you can drill down on a particular property if you like, but let's just say you look at everything. What it then actually shows you is what does it completed, what was completed within that week. So you can go through and actually on here it actually gives you a little timestamp as well in terms of when that was complete. Gives you all the people that actually did the job. And if you download this, it gives you all that cost information. So you can see that I need to pay so-and-so X amount of money for that particular week. And, even if like you might get an invoice from a cleaner, at least you've got the ability to tick that off and say, okay, that actually agrees to what I've got in the system. So that I think is very good from just like a business management point of view. What I'll quickly show you is then what an actual cleaner sees, because that's often a common question, right? So what does a cleaner actually interact with? So I've just logged into my cleaning profile in here. And this is actually a profile where I've given this cleaner a little bit more, I guess, a few more tools on what they could do if it was just a straight cleaner. So on this one, they can actually see the calendar of the property. But if you didn't have that selected in that user role, they just wouldn't see this at all. But in terms of a task, what they actually see, I think I just have to assign. I've got a task to sign out further into the future. So some of these tasks are sent to me as the cleaner or maintenance person, whatever that is. I get all these details, and what do I see? And again, this is all driven from the property profile. So I get all the listing photos. So let's just say, that's great for a cleaner because you need to say, hey, make the place look exactly what it was presented on the listing. You can put in some of the additional instructions come through and whatever photos you've attached. They also get all the location like information so they can actually get there easily. You don't have to try and explain to them. That access information we had before, this is that cleaning one that we selected, or you could add and change. And they even get some other key things because, hey, we often would get our cleaners to check the Wi-Fi is working every time because you don't want that for a new guest checking in. And then, they can start the task and what it does is updates the status on the task, and that'll update on your end as well. So you can always see when something's happening. They can go through and tick all these things. And let's just say they complete the task. Now we have allowed completion, even though maybe some of the checklist items aren't done, just in case there is an issue and someone didn't, actually fill them in, and you just don't want tasks that are sitting there potentially uncompleted. But that's something we can obviously look at down the line. And again, what I said here, this is all easily readable on their mobiles. So that's where tasks are at right now. And what I'll show you is I'm actually going to go into the calendar next because the calendar and tasks actually work quite well together. So what I mean by this, so you actually get a visual representation now of the task that you had booked in. And what this allows you to do is some people are a bit more visual, some people might like looking at a list and seeing all those details, but for a quick reference, if you were kind of looking at all these things, and these are just these bookings we've jammed in for the demos, but you can actually then see okay, great, I've got this reservation, the clean's now been completed. And you can see, there's some maintenance coming up, on the 30th, and it's been accepted by the maintenance guy. That's great. And if you wanted to, you can click through and see further details as well, and you can see the costing and all those types of things. So it just gives you that quick visual. So the way that I would use this is okay, I've got all these reservations. Look, there's no task assigned. What's happened there? Or let's just come further back. It's just okay, I've got that in. That's been completed. That's good. I know that a guest can check in. That's completed, and so on. It just gives you that quick guide as to where things are at, which I think is very key, particularly when you're sometimes running around and trying to do everything under the sun. Another thing, just small things, but our calendar is a lot faster, I would say, than all the actual channels themselves. We load a year worth of data into the future, so you can always go through and see all of that information. And if you really want to get really see, you can then actually zoom out and see. Sorry, I just clicked on a date. You can actually then see a lot more information, and like this is good for like seeing where gaps and things are in your calendar. Two more things just on the calendar. So we had when we were running a number of different people across different properties, we would sometimes get phantom block nights, which was very frustrating. So if anyone wants to block a night, they can't just block it. You have to select a particular reason. Let's just say owner's mum. Oh, sorry, I'll change the spelling. Owner's mum is staying, and then you can update the calendar for being blocked. So it's just a small thing that used to really annoy me when we had phantom block nights. And then just the last thing I'll touch on here is on the calendar. What we've got here is, let's just say you've got a few properties and you've got a guest in one and they're loving it and they're like, oh, I want to extend, or their circumstances change and they want to stay an extra week. And you're like, oh, sorry, I've got a guest coming tomorrow. Like you can't stay. But I've got a couple of other places, and if you want to quickly filter that, you can jump in and say, oh, what have I got available? Obviously when becomes harder when you get more properties, but what 2-bedroom apartments do I have available into the future, or for those particular dates that they're after? And then what it will do, will actually then filter and say, oh, you've got these 2 places over those dates, and you can then quickly try and secure that additional booking. Okay.
Does the calendar give you any sort of a warning? Like you were talking about how it illustrates when a clean has been completed, but let's say something is coming up really close and it hasn't happened. Does it give you sort of like hey, a clean is due this afternoon or tomorrow and it hasn't been scheduled yet, or the maintenance, the activity hasn't been started yet and it should have been?
Yeah, so we do have overdue, and so I was trying to find an overdue task to kind of explain that. Do we actually have a filter on that? But yeah, we do have an overdue function in here.
Okay.
I think I might have got rid of all the overdues in here in this actual demo. But I can come back to you exactly how that logic works. But yeah, we do have that function, and it gets highlighted in red on your dashboard, just as a FYI.
Excellent, thanks.
Perfect. I'll continue up the list. So bookings, obviously pretty self-explanatory. Pending bookings, these are the ones you need to jump on, and you can see which ones are expiring soon if there's some sort of booking request out there. Upcoming, these are the ones that are accepted and actually upcoming, and then you've got obviously completed and cancelled. So just quickly on these bookings though, what you can actually do when you say click into this is you do get a quick message window. So we do have a centralized message inbox, but if you click through into a booking, you can actually see whatever communications here and add something there. You see all the details around the summary. You can add private notes for that particular booking internally, and this is where the guest guide comes in. So this is this actual guest guide that we saw before, but this is when it's customized for each booking. So you can just quickly preview as to what that guest guide looks like. Just so you can make sure it all looks, if you just want to double check a few things, you can see that. And then if you want to send this, you can just quickly send it to the guest. And what it says here, so we've got a bit of logic around the guest guide where it's only available after 3 days before the check-in, and then it disappears after the checkout. So I think this one was actually already completed. So if we open the guest guide, it says, oh, sorry, you can't see the details because this is a completed reservation, and it says, oh, actually you can book again. So it gives them trying to get some future bookings. But and then if the similar window, if you sent it too early, or like it's a week before, they'll just see a quick thing saying like this is available shortly, and shows them just like a basic map of where the property is. So just some controls around what people can see about your property. You can also then see any tasks that are assigned to this reservation. And again, this is me creating all these fake demos for the one property, but normally this would just be the one task. So you can just, have a quick reference guide to that. You can see some of the financial information and transactions, and then just reviews. So it's like, okay, all right, Kieran actually, so this is my fake booking, but you've got 7 days left to write a review, or they haven't actually given you a review either. So it's just some of those kind of like high level things to keep track of. Perfect. So messages. Now we I think on the podcast, if anyone listens, so we just released this this tool, called it probably about a month ago now, and I guess because like the evolution right now is we're sucking features from our existing internal tool into this tool. So it's just a matter of like getting things in and making them look nice and a little bit nicer than what we've got. I've got to say I'm using a not so nice version right now, but we're making all of these things look a lot nicer. So in here, you've got your centralized inbox of properties and of messages, and you've got things where you can sort by latest, last inquiries and pending reservations, search by property, like name or whatever that is. This is the one where we've got a lot of messages. You can then filter by unread, read, inquiries, pending reservations. So just a pretty good way to kind of maintain your inbox. You can see all the details on here as well. So when you're typing, you can also see if you've got team members working in here and someone's replying at the same time, you obviously see, like you see on all these things these days, you can see if someone else is typing so you don't over communicate. Now, we've got two things that we're pulling through in the next kind of few weeks into our tool from our existing, which I'll just quickly show you because these are currently in development but soon to be released. So automated messages is obviously super key for any of these business, and it speaks to that ability to run these things at scale. You need to make sure you're on top of check-ins and checkout messages and all those types of things. So they need to be automated. So we've got a very similar way that we had with tasks, where it's a template. And you can customize that and apply to one or many properties. So it's very similar screen as to what you just saw before with the tasks. As I said, you can apply to whatever properties or anything that you like. You can now then select events. You can call it whatever you want to call it. And then you can get, short codes are obviously very powerful in here, so that you can create a message that then just gets applied to the specific reservation. And we've got a whole bunch of short codes that you can choose. In terms of events, you can obviously do your main ones where it's like new reservation, check-in, check-out. You can also do things after events. So it's like send a message one day after the check-in at 10 a.m. So it's like, oh, hey, I hope you had a great night, first night. Please let me know if there's anything, that you would like, or how's your stay going? And just that kind of follow-up, reminder after the first night, which is sometimes pretty key. And you can get pretty customized in terms of how you do that. You can also then send messages that are more date-based. So where we used to always have a fun problem was I don't know, in Australia, where you've got houses and you need to get the bins out for the garbage guy to collect it every week or every 2 weeks. You can actually send like a day of a week where it's like send on a Wednesday, send to whichever guest is in the property and say, oh, hey, just a friendly reminder, it would be great if you could put the bins out. The garbage guy comes tomorrow, really much appreciated. And you never have to then try and think of that yourself. Like that's just automated through the whole process. And then you've got, obviously some of these scheduling things down here that you can play around with. So one thing I just wanted to, on messages as well, one thing I'll just quickly talk to is the way that we present this then in the inbox, which I think compared to some other tools, I think it's quite a nice way of doing it, where you can have a bunch of different templates that you apply to whatever properties, but sometimes it's just really nice and clear. You just want to know what messages are going out to which person, because sometimes you'll get into a scenario where you've got all these automated messages, which are great, but sometimes they need to be turned off or they need to be stopped because there's a situation with a guest where it's just going to maybe inflame a situation, which is not very good. So the way we show this is you've got your particular guest staying. Obviously, you can just message as you would, but then you've also got this box down the bottom which shows you then what's coming up and what's scheduled. So for this particular reservation, we've got 3 scheduled messages with the earliest going out on this date. What can you do from here? You can jump in within the same screen and it pops out exactly what those messages are. So you can have a quick view of what is going to go out in the future. Let's say you wanted to, you could send it right now, or let's say we've got that situation where you want to cancel it, you can hit that button. And then one thing that we actually do as well with this here, which I think is very key, is just monitoring what's actually happened. So it's like, actually, this message was cancelled by team member Cameron Smith on this date. And then that's updated and kept in this thread, just so that there's always, accountability there, and you've got a trail of what's happened. So that all this messages stuff is going to be out very, very soon, and something that I think is going to be a huge value add to a lot of people. And we've also, not only do we just have automated messages, we've got our quick replies. So this is where you've got a template for some of these things down these examples here, but you might have specific issues with a particular property where no one can ever work out how to find the pool. You're in an apartment complex and it's always tricky. There's this door, go left, go right, up these stairs. And even though you might have that in the guest guide, people will always ask the question, right? So you might have a quick reply ready to go for that property, and you can just quickly pull that out from the message inbox and it sends directly straight through to them. So again, just trying to, have a bit of a time-saving aspect of, all these types of situations that come up. I'm going to move on to finance. So I just wanted to check if there's any kind of questions around messages or anything at the moment that people wanted me to touch on.
I think, are you, I really like the feature with being able to see team members and stuff like that. In regards to, are you guys planning on doing some type of AI for responses, like if you have frequent questions that people have, similar to how Smart B&B kind of utilizes?
Yeah, I would say in the future, definitely we're going to be looking at continuing to build out the messages tool. And I think, you can do some natural language, references. So I guess the way that we'd probably look at doing that is, or the way that we thought about doing this actually, is around some of these quick replies, having some of those keywords that it applies to. So exactly to that point, if a guest asks a certain question, we'll have in our inbox, we have a little template suggestion. So it's hey, do you want to reply with this? I don't think we're going to go full on to say it'll just send it straight away, but because obviously that can be a little bit dangerous, but there's definitely suggestions there to help, speed up the process.
And for the different, is this good for all platforms, or is it only for?
So right now, just because with the first release, we're just on Airbnb for this, and then what's happening is that we're very soon we're working with a partner then to plug into all the other platforms. So I guess the thought process with the release of this tool was let's get all the key functions out there, and get them working for Airbnb, and then we just plug into the other tools, which is essentially what we've already done in our tool. So that's and I guess some of those things where we've got a iCal link blocker coming out very soon, just so that obviously you can manage calendars. And then you can still so you can still maintain your calendar, book tasks and everything for other channels, but on the messaging side at this stage, it won't work.
So Kieran, to that point really quick, since you are just starting off with Airbnb, I know Airbnb just recently came out with the ability to have some automated messages as well. So essentially what I think I understand is I could completely ignore using Airbnb for all that automated messaging and just go straight with your tool here. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. And I think, so Airbnb, I think it can be sometimes hard for Airbnb because obviously they need to create a product that works with everyone around the world, right? So I think what we've been able to do is be in terms of our automations on messages, we're definitely more customized in terms of what you can actually do. And some of the Airbnb events are a little bit more limited, but it's still a good tool in terms of just on the Airbnb side. But I guess then when we plug into our multi-channel side of things as well, then that Airbnb only does it for their own tool, right. So we'll do that then across channels. Perfect. So this is, I know I'm just looking at time, so I don't want to, I'll kind of go through this, but this is again, very important. So finance, I come from a finance background, so I'll tell you how important this is. But I think anyone, when you run a business, if you've got no money, you've got no business. So what we do here is just give you, like, finance is probably one of the biggest bugbears for anyone in business. Who wants to reconcile their bank account? Who wants to do month-end statements? It's not a fun part of running a business. So we try to make this easy, and I'll show you some other things as well that we're going to make it very easy. So firstly, we just give you the ability to simply just reconcile your bank account. So what does this mean? So I'm not sure how much experience anyone's had in reconciling amounts, but it's pretty simple, where it's like you've got your bank account and you've got like your reservations, and you just want to match off what's come through. So it's like, okay, I should have received $2,390, which I can see now in my bank account. Oh, this is great. It applies to all these reservations. I can see that I'm going to reconcile these amounts. So this is just a simple way of like maintaining, visibility and control over anything that's come through. And if something's missing, you can obviously then investigate further. Maybe it's in a pending transaction or whatever that is. But this just gives you ability to go through and quickly do that. And I'll show you then where that kind of relates to shortly. And then there's this maintenance around homeowners. So if you're managing this properties for somebody else, this obviously applies. If not, maybe it may not apply necessarily, but let's say you are. You can come in, you assign a homeowner to every single property, and we've made this here so you can get quite creative too with how you do your management fees. Maybe you do a promotion, you're trying to get some new customers in, and you're going to give a discount for the first 2 months. I'll give you guys 18%, and then you want to bump it up to 20 after that 2-month period. So you could just drop that in straight away from the start, put in the right date periods, and then that's going to apply correctly into the future. So just a little bit of flexibility there around how you structure that. So where the finance tool is right now, it's pretty basic, where you can reconcile amounts, you can see your transaction list, and if you download this, it'll give you like a basic spreadsheet of like reservation A was this much, you had a cleaning amount of this, and management fees taken out should be X. So it's better than having nothing, but it's our most powerful way, which is in our current tool, is something that, again, so we've got 2 things being built right now. We've kind of split our development team into 2. One's doing messages and one doing finance. And this is where it gets, I would say, this is where you can get a lot of time saving and also a lot of confidence in running your business. So we have this in our current tool where we have month-end statements that are generated pretty much, I would say, 95% automatically. So what happens here is that based on some of the inputs that we've said for this property, like management fees and all those types of things, it will create a monthly statement that all these reservations automatically drop into. So based on like dates and things like this, reservations drop in, breaks down all the amounts, and provides net earnings. So you need to pay this much to the homeowner, and we're also flipping this as well. So some people also co-host where it's the owner receives the cash and then they need to charge the owner. So we're going to flip this so the wording's different. So actually, owner, you owe me this much money. And what you can see here as well, this is where that reconciliation process comes in, is like, you can tick these things off. Let's say you're collecting the cash and you're paying an owner. You've got then confidence that you've actually gone and reconciled these amounts. So you're happy then to say, yep, I've reconciled these, been paid. I'm going to pay this owner now X amount. So as I said, all this comes through directly from, you set your property up in our tool. It knows which listings is attached to that. And then all the reservations from that listing comes into this statement. Any task that you've also assigned to this property where you put a cost comes through into here. You can add a manual transaction. Let's just say at the end of the month, you needed to really put something through. And you can add particular notes on here. So I'll kind of take you through and show you what I mean by this. Whereas like, you might send a note to a homeowner and say, oh, it's been a great month. Here's, your month-end statement for February, and so on. You got all the history down the side. So you can obviously see all those details. You can communicate as a team in terms of, I'll just show you what that looks like. You can communicate as a team. If you've got, maybe you can even invite like a bookkeeper or an accountant that you're using. They can go through and ask a few questions. All that's kept and logged here. And then also, super important with anything to do with money, you've got a complete systemized audit log. So user pushed X, user moved this transaction here. You've got all of that there. So there's no like, oh, I don't know what happened. Like you can actually see everything that's been done, which I think is super key. And then obviously you can like send a statement to a homeowner. Okay, this is now done. I want to send it to this homeowner. You can, and then it gets done and complete, and then they get an email with a PDF statement. And then the last thing I'm just going to quickly show you on this, which I think is pretty cool, and something that is particularly for potentially even users like yourselves, and whether it be the US, where you've got potentially different state taxes or whatever that is, bed taxes that you need to capture. We want to create, or we are creating right now, a what we call like a customized fee. So you could say maybe you got a local state tax that you need to account for, or you want to charge to somebody. You can obviously put a description. You can then select from a different number of attributes here as to how it's applied, whether it's like a per reservation, maybe a bed tax. I don't know, depends on where you are. Every reservation, you might have to pay X amount. Maybe Airbnb doesn't collect that. Maybe the other channel doesn't collect it, but you can aggregate that in here. Maybe it doesn't apply to long bookings. So some things don't apply for reservations over X number of days, and you can drop that in depending on wherever you're located. And that, or you can even do like a bit of a customized formula as to how you want to apply a customized fee. And then what you can do is then aggregate that on the statement. So let's just say, for February, we had this much in state tax, and instead of having like a line by line for each reservation, maybe you had 4 reservations and then you got 4 taxes. Looks pretty messy. So then you can just aggregate that amount on the statement at the end of the month. And I guess the reason was that we understand there's, sometimes regulations change, taxes change, and you need to get, you need to make sure you're on top of those things. We can't say we're going to like keep up to date with every regulation or county or state around the world. So it's like, we'll give you the power to make that as flexible as possible. So hence why we got to this customized fee section. Perfect. And actually, just one thing that's got me pretty excited around the finance side, and I'll completely stop after this, is that we're plugging in and doing something. It's probably, I'd say, a good, 4 to 5 months away. But we're trialing it right now within our own business, where you can actually then pay people from our tool, whether that be the homeowner or that be your contractors or suppliers. We're plugging in with so Stripe. I don't know if anyone's heard of Stripe, but they're one of the largest payment providers around the world, where you can bring the money into a Stripe account, and then you can move it to whether it's a contractor or a homeowner, who, when they onboard onto our tool, they'll have to sign up. Like it looks all branded, but they'll sign up into Stripe and they'll have their own account, and you can push money to either one of those, and it doesn't actually cost you any money when you're pushing it between Stripe. And then there's a small amount that person pays when they take that money into their bank account, but it's like 0.15% or something. So, but then that just gives you the ability where you can say, okay, all of these statements, I'll send those to my homeowners, done. Or whether it's your cleaners, if they're all signed up, they just put in their bank details, and then you can send that directly to them. So that's something that's pretty exciting, and particularly when you get bigger, will be super handy.
Yeah, it sounds pretty interesting, especially being able to take all the comments and the audit logs. Just with the whole finance side, it's really, really important. And about the added fees, I remember when I was upgrading my locks, I charged all my co-hosts a flat technology fee. Having something like this to where I could put in, hey, $30 extra a month just to kind of set aside for all this upgrading, that would have been great. Instead, I was hand jamming it on my Hostfully side. And of course, some months I forgot. Some other months it's like, okay, you know what? Got to the point I don't even charge it anymore. Mainly because it was very hard to kind of implement month after month.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the pain. Sorry, what happened there? It's one of those things that, and exactly, these things just get harder and harder as you grow. We just understand that. And we've tried to, as much as we can, we're trying to systemize things and then systemize it in a way that it's like easy to use and for you to control. So,
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody have any particular questions?
Me. So, Kieran, I know that this is almost the first release to the public.
Yep.
And since I already seen it, I know I'm kind of antsy to see it again. I want everybody else to see it. Is it possible you could show the direct booking website?
Yes, sorry. Let me bring that up. Sorry. Direct booking. So this is something which, sorry, I just have to load up everything on this.
And don't forget to share.
Yeah, no, will do. Sorry, I'm just getting the right pages up before I do that. So this direct booking website, we've got, so I'll share it right now. We've got it for our own business already, and we're just working through how we then have this so it creates for every individual user, so that like if you've got your listings, it'll obviously then create for your properties, and it's a very simple like publish to a direct booking website. So I'll just quickly go through some of the key pages. So right now it's a very similar kind of look and feel where you can have your own logo up there like we just had before in the tool itself. Very kept it try to be very Airbnb like in terms of design and clean look. So all of this stuff here as well comes directly from our tool. So whatever in here is coming directly from there. So you can control whatever comes through, and gives you some kind of key information about the property. It's very similar. Gives you put a little host profile in there as well. And again, all mobile optimized, and things like that. So you can go through and see build out the amenities and facilities, which is all driven off the property profile. Now, what I'll go is I'll show you a different page. So I'll just quickly run you through the booking process. So we again, thanks to Stripe, they have a very cool guest verification product as well. So let's just say someone's landed on your direct booking site and they want to put through this particular booking. They go through, add their details in, and they need to verify their ID. So they go to verify their ID. Again, we can have this so it's all branded, and Stripe then handles all of the actual verification. So it's not only just like getting a copy, like you actually don't physically get a copy, you just get confirmation that it's a verified ID, it's not fake, it's not fraudulent, and so on. So they have a process that runs in the background and says, yep, bang, looks great, all approved. Payment again is all then just handled through Stripe, and this is where that future when we're going to build out all this payment infrastructure as well, it'll be based off Stripe. So this then goes into that Stripe account, and then if you need to, you can pay people off the back of that. And I think one thing again is just coming back to that, like we really focused on how these things look, because one thing that we, particularly with direct booking websites, I would say, the look and feel of being, premium and professional gives people a lot of confidence, because I don't know about you, but if I'm seeing a little direct booking website out there that maybe doesn't look so great, looks a little bit dodgy, and then I got to go and put my credit card details in there, I'm a little bit like, oh, maybe am I doing the right thing here? And then that's where sometimes people get a little bit hesitant, and why they go through booking channels, right? Like they know they're booking with Airbnb, they know they're booking with book.com. Hence why we figured like, let's, not skimp and on what the direct booking actually looks like. So and just give people the actual feel that they're actually booking through a legitimate kind of website. So because that's just going to help with conversion down the line. So then these are all the wireframes that we're putting together. A lot of those things are, I think we're about 70% done on how we're kind of rolling that through into our tools. So it's a lot of things kind of that are coming through the pipeline that are going to be super, super exciting.
Yeah, and that's probably the most exciting piece about the tool in general, being free. 1, 2, that there's constant additions being added. And what we just seen with the Stripe piece is cutting edge, right? I pay for an extra service to kind of go through and verify IDs and things when I get a direct booking. But they've been able to kind of partner with Stripe to use their ID verification and things like that. Super cutting edge. You got a site that almost looks exactly like Airbnb, which is amazing. I haven't had a pretty direct booking website that was so easy in a long time. So when that piece comes out, that will look and be amazing
Yeah.
for you guys. So, all right. Anybody else got any other questions? I can talk about it all day. We spent a lot of time just taking a deep dive in the product over a couple weeks ago.
I hope hopefully everyone who's got their videos off is still awake. So thank you for taking the time. But happy to answer any questions that you have as well.
How soon can we start using
I'm sorry,
this?
go ahead. Go ahead. You got it, Judy.
Yeah, how soon can we start using it? This is
Well, that's
great.
the thing. So yeah, no, and thank you for the feedback. And so if you wanted to use it, so I guess just a quick caveat on there. Just as we've released Airbnb only, so just making sure everyone is aware of that. I don't want to go and say, you've got 5 channels, and we go and destroy anything on that side, which we won't. But so at the moment, if you want to jump onto this tool and you're happy with some of those limitations, we could do it tomorrow, today, whatever that is, we can get you on board. So one thing that we also, particularly now being a release, we also do a personal onboarding. So we actually sit there and help you go and set up some of the key things, because we want to make sure that you're kind of set up for success with the tool. And then obviously, you can go your merry way once we've done that. And we've obviously got support as well if you have run into any issues. So yeah, that's the simple question is if you want to onboard, I'm happy to do that, and I can provide some details as to how that happens. And no charge. We can't even take anyone's credit. We don't even have a section to charge anyone right now. So unless you just want to send me some some paper money in the mail to Australia, happy to do that. But
Do Bitcoin. Send some Bitcoin.
Yeah. I think we only take Dogecoin,
Yeah, no, that's are you gonna incorporate a well, I guess you can't with Stripe, but if you could accept crypto, crypto, that'd be cool.
I'm sure Square's gone and done it, so I'm assuming Stripe and the other guys probably aren't too far behind. So
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Jason, you had a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question, but he ended up answering it for me. So yeah, very informative. I appreciate it, man.
Perfect. And actually, one little thing, I might get shot by my designer if I say this, but just recently, some things, because when I was like, oh, you can go and add your logo at the top there. Some people are like, I don't have a logo. And I was like, oh, okay, we've got a design team in-house. So if you want, we can even, whack together a nice little logo for people if they want it. So I can't say, I don't know how many people are going to listen to this and take this up, but we can, I'll definitely do my best to try and get that done if you want that.
All right.
Wow.
Great.
Get it while it's free.
Yeah, we just need some. All I need on that is just a basic idea of what you like and some colors, and we can get something done.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really, hope you guys found value in this, and that this kind of what I really like about these types of presentations is that it paints a really good picture of the business. Some people, and probably how a lot of people might initially get in is they're thinking like, hey, get some Airbnb properties, make some money. But when you look at like a fully scaled business, and you can definitely do that. Like you can go out and you can find a property, you can put it on Airbnb, and you can make some money. But what we're talking about here is a full business, and there's different aspects of that business. So if you're just managing one property, maybe this tool really is going to be a little bit overpowered, OP for you. You might not need all the features that this particular product offers. But when you are scaling, these are the types of things that you definitely need to think about. You need to think about organization. You have to think about, taxes. You have to think about tasks, and like what is currently out there in the market. Like we use Google Drive, for storing things. We use Stripe for different things. We use HelloSign for document signing. We use all these different tools, Smart BNB, Hostfully, Your Porter or Easy Care, whatever different types of tools are out there.
We're trying to pretty much combine those into one.
Yeah.
You know, that's the ultimate dream. Because like to that point, even just something you mentioned was HelloSign. Like when it comes to contracts, like our tool right now internally, we have all of that. You send a little form to an owner, they put in their key details, and then it populates a contract. They sign it, and it then gets automatically stored on that profile. So we have that already. It's just at some point it's going to make its way into the tool as well. But it's just we are trying to kind of combine everything into this. So hopefully to save everyone a lot of hassle.
Yeah, so that's yeah, there's a lot of different pieces with this, but you know, I don't want anybody feeling overwhelmed if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, you know, what am I getting into? You know, you're going to start off with one property, you're going to get a feel for it, you're going to eventually use a PMS. If you do decide, you know, and choose this PMS as your starter, you'll learn how to use it, you'll get more comfortable. You know, you'll use your dynamic pricing. And that's also one of the other questions is your guys' tool integrate with dynamic pricing? Or is that,
Yeah,
would
so
that
right
technically
now,
be
so if
separate?
so right now, if you've got a like tool like Price Labs or something along those lines that's running in the background, that it works in unison. But then we use Price Labs ourselves, so we're getting a direct integration with those guys. We're actually just waiting on something back from them to plug that all in. But it will, yeah. So if you've got it running already, it's fine. It could just stay.
Okay. But yeah. Yeah, it's baby steps, but you know, I hope this paints a good picture for everybody that's listening about kind of how you want to think about your business moving forward as you are taking on multiple properties. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? I know we've held Kieran here for a little bit
That's
longer,
fine.
but
That's okay. Got all the time. It's late for you guys. It's early for me.
Oh, it's what, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it's just past 9 here. So
this is Jody again, and I apologize if I'm repeating something you've already said, but what's the best way to get a hold of you if we want to take advantage of this?
yeah, so I can provide a link to then have like a calendar for booking in an appropriate time if you want to jump on and do an onboarding, or if there's even just more like specific questions for, you know, maybe your business and how it can help. Happy to do that. So, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Sweet.
no particular questions about the product. Kieran, do you mind taking maybe a few minutes if anybody has any questions? I know the podcast just came out. Would you be okay with maybe taking a few questions if anybody has anything about?
Totally.
All right, guys, just so you know who you're kind of talking to, he is part of the biggest in Australia. I mean, if you're talking about somebody bigger than me, he's bigger than me. So ask away, drill him.
I'm 6'7", you know, 230. No. Yeah, I'm pretty much Zion Williamson of Australia. So
yeah. One question that I get asked a lot via Messenger is how much of your time is free? Having how many other properties do you have managed right now, and then like how does that equate to your free time?
It's harder one to answer now that because of the kind of size we're at. I'm kind of have stepped away from like the day-to-day kind of management of properties, right? So now the focus is on like it's more of the business and how we scale that out across Australia, and then with our software tools. So it has definitely changed, and I guess in terms of time, like maybe thinking back, when we first kind of was starting out, a lot of the time when we was just really just like stressing out around like guests checking in, cleans getting done, and that was like you just couldn't think about anything else, and they're the type of things that like kind of kept us up at night as well, right? Things breaking in the property, guests being unhappy, so we kind of alleviated a lot of ourselves on time there when we just focused on trying to really systemize things. And look, and this is just speaking from like a host point of view. I'm not saying you need to go and get a tool. Obviously, a tool can systemize things a lot better. But even if you've got 1 or 2 properties and you don't want to sign up to software, just getting in like a really solid kind of process and system is just going to, one, save you time eventually, and then also just give you peace of mind as well, like just with around how things are going to work. But I would say if I needed to put a number on it, when we first started, we probably had spent like, over 70% of our time just dealing with the day-to-day like management of in and out, like, and then the other small portion we had was trying to get more homeowners. And then what we found is then when we actually started systemizing things, that obviously then started to spread out a bit. And then we had more time to focus on homeowners and sourcing new clients. And then that's how we're able to grow. So it's just managing that balance. So you don't just, it's that classic saying of like, spending time in your business rather than you should spend time on your business, not in your business. So it's just a matter of like trying to find that perfect balance and how you do that.
One of the things that we usually talk about is like the different stress points that a host might go through as they are scaling. Where John, where someone might be at one property to 5 properties to, the 15, 20 range is very different. What are some of those maybe next level stress points? Like, let's say for, that next thing that maybe, after the 40 plus that John's at, like what's the kind of the next thing that you would expect, and maybe that also goes in line with like what you're doing in the business at that point, and what should you be expecting?
Totally. So and we see it because our business model right now is trying to build people up from like a smaller portfolio. This is in Australia where we partner directly, is building them up from a smaller portfolio to, getting them in the 40, 50 above range. And probably I would say is like, you've got a few properties and you probably got a, pretty good system, hopefully in terms of management and getting cleans done and guests having a good time. That's also one of the key things, is make sure you're always focused on guest experience and trying not to let that slip, because you let that slip and it's literally cost you money, because you have poor ratings and it'll just impact the amount you can charge, and also obviously future bookings. So never let that slip. And that comes from operations and just being on top of all those things. And I say the next point is that when you start to grow your portfolio, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10 properties, where you then really start to feel the stretch of like, I literally don't have enough hours in the day. Because as much as you systemize things still take time. So I think the next fork in the road is then, what do I do? How do I solve this? Do I need to hire somebody? Like, I've got a system in place, but there's just so many moving parts. What is the next step? And that's the most common thing, is around how do you then focus on like building out a team? Because then you still want to grow, like you still want to be able to have those times to be able to sit down and have a coffee with a new owner, or whether you're signing a new lease somewhere, furnishing a property, like all those things need to happen, right? So that's where we have always taken the approach of, there's some amazing talent offshore, and a lot of this business can be kind of run somewhat remotely, right? Everyone, like most people these days, you don't need to necessarily do a self check-in, right? Like a personalized check-in. So a lot of the things here these days you can actually just run from like a computer and almost be anywhere to a point. So I'd say one of the next steps is like, how do you structure your team so that you can continue to grow? And potentially that is looking at like a VA who can then just help around like, task management, booking all those tasks and are done, just making sure things are done and checking the cleans and making sure the photos, everything looks good, talking to, communicating with guests if they do have specific questions. They've got a tool then to like look in and see all the central information so they can answer that. And that just saves you a lot of time, because one thing as well, this is a 24/7 business, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't sleep. And sometimes the weekends is probably is the busiest time. So on Sunday, the last thing you want is this stress around like what's happening sometimes in your properties. So being able to, have a team member, whether it's locally or virtually, to help there is one of those big stress relievers, because you need headspace, right? Otherwise you'll go completely crazy. So, you can structure that in some creative ways, whether that, VAs can be cheaper, you can do the part-time, or if you do want someone on the ground, that's completely fine as well. But it's just a matter of then making sure you don't go crazy and making sure you don't stop growing. So I think you need to kind of weigh up that cost of, bringing in a team member. But I think that's the next step.
Don't stop growing. All
Well, it
right.
depends. It also depends what your ambitions are. But
True.
if you want to make this a full-time business and you want to like get to a nice level of scale, I think it's just around like where do you want to get to, and then trying to just work backwards from how you actually get there, right? And please just make sure you try and give yourself some free time.
R&R. You heard that
Yeah.
right, Julian, right? All right. I know we had 2 questions. Ray, you had a question. I see somebody else came off mute too.
Yeah, so I'm getting my first co-host property next month. My question was, do I place the property under my profile or do I set the
Very common question.
Very good question. Yeah.
We've gone through both ways, and what would I recommend is having control. So if we went through the stage of co-hosting with like so many people, so you would have someone with an existing listing and you would co-host across onto it and manage it. However, and this is where it comes down to how you manage clients, right? So the problem is when they've still got access to the listing, sometimes they just can't let go. They're reading every message and they're saying, why didn't you respond? And you responded 2 minutes. They said, why did you respond in 1 minute? Or you told them that the wine glasses were in the wrong cupboard, like stuff like that, and it just sucks more time out of your day and you're just spending time managing that potential homeowner. So I would suggest having ownership and selling yourself as like, if they're signing up with you, you're there to take the end to end, right? Like essentially they should hand you the keys and they shouldn't need to worry about it. Hence why they're paying you a management fee. So what are the cases there? So common scenario, someone comes to you and maybe they've had their Airbnb for a year and they're, I'm tired of this. I can't do this. I need you to take this. I can't do it anymore. So you might not want to, they might have future bookings. You might not want to, great reviews, and you don't want to lose that, right? One thing that we used to do and can work in a lot of cases was we would actually just assume the account. So we would control the account. So we would, take the, actual control, like change the password or change the email, whatever that is. And that just gives you control. And you can still obviously bring your co-host account across and do it from there. But it just helps because also, when it comes to like plugging into pretty much any PMS, if it's got a direct API connection to Airbnb, you need the main account in order to connect properly. So little things like that. Also, a little bit of control where it's like they could also, if you don't own the listing, or they can just flick you at any time. You could wake up tomorrow and that's gone, and you've done all this work to get all these bookings and all those things. So it's just a way of like managing that. So I'd definitely say control it, because it'll just save you quite a few. It's just a conversation you have up front, and just manage those expectations. Like it's like, look, I'm here to help you do the end to end. I need full control. And hey, if I'm using a system, I need control of this anyway. And then the beauty is, if you do take over an account, you can always just hand it back. Let's just say, you guys part ways, change the details. There you go. Here's your listing. It's all yours. But let's just say they don't have an account already. I would create it on your profile, own all of that. The only thing you just need you can do it in 2 ways. You can actually create a new listing Airbnb account just for that listing. So if there's ever that situation where they want to take it back, they can have that. But if you do want to keep things a little bit cleaner, you can just have them all under your account. But it's best just to manage expectations. This is the best thing with clients, is just manage as many expectations as possible. And it's just around like, hey, if we do this, it's on my account. Airbnb, and like Airbnb doesn't give me any ability to transfer that back to you. It just it lives here. So just knowing that they can't just go and take that in a year's time and use it if it's on your account. So, and feel free to say no. Feel free to say no to clients.
I would add in there, if you find that the listing is not really about your brand or what you really want to kind of represent, then go ahead and create another profile and put it there and then co-host with it. You're still going to need that primary profile, to submit things like claims. Whoever has that primary profile will have the responsibility of going through and submitting those invoices and things. And sometimes
Yep.
that argument is what you need to tell the owner to have them relinquish control. Because, okay, let's just say somebody breaks a chair, you're going to go in and create the invoice and attach this, and you got to do it within a few days span, and you got to respond to it within 2 days. Just want to make sure you can handle all of that. And sometimes they're like, oh, no, I want you to do that. To do that, you need control.
Completely agree.
I have a quick question. With your program, if we do have one of those owners that is very controlling, instead of giving them access to all the different, can we just give them access to whatever they want to see? Like, I want to see the cleaning schedule, or I want to see, is there a way that we can limit what they could see just by giving them access through your program?
Totally. So you can create them as a user and provide view-only access to some of those key features, and they can see all of that. So that's a very easy way to do that. And whether that's exactly calendar and maybe tasks, and obviously they get all the reservation stuff as well through statements. So we actually do have a standalone owners portal in our current tool, which will make its way across eventually. And I can, if everyone wants time, I can literally pull that up in like 10 seconds and quickly show what it currently looks like, say, for our tool now. 1 second. I'll just quickly pull this up. So we have a owners portal here. I think I'm logged into the right thing. Gives them some basic details, gives them some review details where it is filtered as well, so you don't get shocking reviews in there. You do get the calendar. So this is a long booking for this place, but they can see who's staying. They get all their statements in here as well, so they can see all of those things, and then any just other kind of like account information and contact details and stuff like that. So that's something that we do have in our current tool, which will make its way over right now. But exactly to that point, you can customize that visibility straight away right now in the tool by just limiting access.
And that will be amazing for your owners.
Oh, totally. Because then this is the thing, and this is something we've taken from, I'd say, day one, and this is key to any of these business relationships, is around like transparency and like communication. So we've done that through our owners portal, where they've got all the information they need to see. Financial details are super transparent through statements, calendars, and all that kind of information, reviews, all those key things. And that helps you alleviate as well. Again, another time-saving thing. Otherwise, you've got homeowners calling you like, oh, what's the calendar look like? Oh, what's this look like? Or what's this guest? Things like that. And it's just, that's time you could be spending talking to a new homeowner or, signing a new lease somewhere. So
will it give them will it show them where their bookings are coming from? Like, if they have their calendar, it'll say like VRBO, Airbnb, like whatever the different platforms that their property's listed on.
It will. So right now, do I have a screenshot? Simple answer. Right now it doesn't, says we're only Airbnb as mentioned, but in the future, yes, it has just it's going to be like a nice red Airbnb color and, the little logo there. So super easy to see. Okay.
Thank you.
Last question here, since wrapping up, but you've worked with a lot of hosts and helping them, build and scale their businesses, and like we talked about on the podcast, you guys have a pretty unique model. What have you seen that really is the difference between someone that is successful, managing and scaling their business versus someone that is only typically, maybe can only manage just a few properties, or realize that maybe this business isn't for them? What are some of the things that you see?
Yeah. So I think there's probably a few key attributes just off the top of my head. And this is very key for, particularly at scale, is just like being very organized, because as mentioned, this is a very 24/7 business. There's things happening all the time. You're managing quite a few different balls in the air. So super organized, and just like on top of your business. And, we help empower that through the tool. And also then being professional. And like, I guess there's a few attributes to being professional, right? It's like not only what you like the perception, but also then just when it comes down to things like, communication, being upfront and honest, like being super transparent, like all of these things like bubble up to being like a professional person, right? So that filters through, and that's like on both sides. Like you pretty much like running these businesses, you're in the middle of two customers, right? In a lot of ways, you've got a guest and you've got a homeowner. Maybe not so much if you're leasing properties, but let's just say you've got these two customers, right? So being super communicative, being very professional about the way you do that, and it's just trying to be calm under fire in some of these situations is going to help you a lot, right? Because one, it's going to diffuse things with owners very quickly. Like if you're communicating issues or problems come up and you jump on that, you explain it, exactly what you've done, how it's going to be solved. That gets you, the trust. That just continues to build trust. And you'll find that a lot of owners, even things go wrong, right? In the world, things go wrong. So if you can handle that and be really good at that kind of issue resolution, it's going to just serve you so well when it comes to homeowners and guests. And then what happens is, as some of you may have already seen already, you kind of tick off a few of those things where you, super professional, communicative, and you solve these problems for these owners. They refer you, whether it's to their friends, to their family, and that's just like a natural kind of progression. So where we've seen people that do really well, they really do nail some of those key things, right? So we've seen other people that we brought through the program and may not have continued on, is where they started to really drop the ball. And because they weren't organized and they weren't really being that communicative with owners or guests, and issues just blew up, fires just got bigger. They didn't deal with what was, there at hand. And then it just kind of starts to spiral down. You start to lose reviews, like your reviews get worse, impact your bookings. Then your homeowner's like, why am I getting bookings? I'm annoyed. And then it just kind of continues down, right? So it's just, stamping these things out from the start is super key.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Any last minute things before we wrap up here? I know today was a little bit different than what we typically do, but wanted to definitely get Kieran on here and share anybody else before we wrap up.
Just how we get signed up.
Yeah, perfect.
Calendar link.
Yeah, perfect. I'll have that sent. I'll send it to Julian and John,
and we'll post it within the group.
So, well, yeah, thank you so much, Kieran, for taking the time. Yeah, definitely would love to be able to get you back on maybe in the future to be able to share.
Oh, definitely.
And
yeah, we're happy to talk through anything really. So hopefully I know the answers.
Definitely, yeah. No, we'll definitely be relying on you. We'll that's. Next goal, get to Kieran level 1,500 properties, and then create software and then change.
Well, yeah, exactly. We do actually have like some really cool like internal I guess information pieces that we would happy to kind of talk to you about, and like whether it's like how to set up the best listing, all those types of things. Like more than happy to take people through those things. So
awesome.
Definitely.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kieran. And thank you, everybody. If you do have any other questions throughout the week, we do have the Facebook group. Post your questions in there if we weren't able to cover anything specific there. Of course, we'll be uploading this in the portal, so you can always go back and rewatch this. We'll also send out an email with the link if you're interested in signing up with this PMS and getting connected with Kieran. I think I'm also going to hit Kieran up for that free logo too. I've got probably a little idea that so
my
right.
design team's gonna hate me, but anyway, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
How detailed does that design need to be? I get, or the sketch, the concept sketch. So
if there's a few examples out there you can find on the internet and a couple of colors, I'm sure we can work with some.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right,
guys.
Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. And we'll talk with you all next week.